of how it goes. But we haven't ever heard any of Tim's songs. We've only heard the songs we're singing, or they haven't really presented us with any of these like weird songs yet. And we get to this point in the play where Tim comes in with Sweet Transvestite.
He was arriving to one of the first rehearsals on a bus, because we're at the top of King's Road in Chelsea, the theatre, and he suddenly decided that the voice that he would use for the role would be a Chelsea matron's voice. You know, hello, the children will be on their way shortly. You know, it's so nice that you could come. And when they hardly move their lips, so you have to go, what was that? But people think that's how Tim talks. Tim doesn't talk like that. But it was such a funny idea and it worked so well. It's the last thing you expect when that character in stilettos and he opens his mouth. How do you do?
Enchanté. And the back doors of this theater open and he comes marching down the aisle in a leather jacket with fishnet stockings and these platform shoes on. And I look at this guy coming down this aisle, and he's singing, I'm a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. Let me transvestite. And I literally get up and walk out of the theatre.
The stage show might have been a smash hit, but the impulsive Nell left for what she thought would be greener pastures.
I left the play after 7 months, the biggest hit in, practically ever in London, to go busking in France.
Because
that's an example of my ruthless ambition and just my driving force, how I know where my career should be going.
I used to go around Chicago and listen to the music on the radio.
I guess we're gonna do anything for love now. And I turned to Graham Jarvis going, I'm gone. I'm not doing this. I'm out of here. And he follows me out, and he's going, and he's trying to say to me, Meat, you got to go back. I said, I'm not going back. I'm not doing a play where some guy's wearing fishnet stockings. What kind of play is this? And I'm very naive. I don't get sex jokes half the time. So I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. And I actually get a ticket for jaywalking. I cross Hollywood Boulevard on a red light, and the cop pulls me over and gives me a ticket for a motorcycle cop. And Graham goes, you got to go back. You got to go back. Now then, the stage manager and Brian Avnet and some other people have come out on the street looking for me, and I'm going, I can't do this. I'm not doing this. They said, look, just come back. We'll understand. Once you see the whole thing, we'll understand if you really can't do it. And I said, no, I can't do this.
And that's a fact.
And then I sort of said, well, it is a comedy. It is a musical. I understand it's a parody. Now they've given us a script. I'm able to read it. I'm able to see what it is.
And I would do anything more.
Okay, and they've explained to me what I'm doing and how Dr. Scott works and this whole thing. And then I read in the script where Dr. Scott is supposed to wear high heels and fishnet stockings. And I go up to him, I said,
but I won't do that.
Look, I'll stay and do the play because I think it's funny, but I said, I'm drawing the line here. I said, they go, well, it's really a big part of the play. I said, well, I guess I can't do it. And they go, well, just bear with. They keep saying, just bear with me, try it, I'm going, I'm not doing it.
Don't come easy, and some days it don't come, some days it don't come at all, and these are the days.
So the next thing you know, I'm being fitted for high heel shoes, and now they've given me this garter belt, right? And they said, well, just for the dress rehearsal, just try them on. No, I'm not trying them on.
I've ever seen it all will again. And maybe
they go, just try them on. And so I've gone this far, so I go, okay, I'll try them on.
I know you can't save me, no one else can save me now.
First preview of this show, I'm like freaking out because I've got these, playing Dr. Scott, and I've got this blanket on my lap, and I got these fishnet stockings and these high heel and this garter belt and this black underwear on. And you got to remember that I weighed probably about 60 pounds more than I do now.
It's true and that's a fact. Oh, I would do anything.
On Saturday night when people had a bit to drink, would they go complete? And you'd see Tim, not all the time, but every so often, the laughter would just go on so long that Tim would just start to laugh, and everybody would just start to laugh. And Timmy would ad-lib some stuff.
Make it all a little less old.
Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that.
To every fantasy I got. Will you horse me down with holy water? If I get
I think the reason for its longevity is that it's a fairy tale, and it's a retelling of one of the oldest root fairy tales in the world, Genesis. Adam and Eve, Brad and Janet are Adam and Eve, and the serpent is Frankenfurter. That was retold in the tale of Hansel and Gretel and the Wicked Witch, and this is just a further telling of that same tale, and I think that's what it is. I don't think people think about it, but subliminally, I think while they're watching it, that's why it pleases, I think. I don't know, I could be completely wrong.
And some sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Whatever happened to Saturday night when you left the job and you felt alright?
A film with Rob Zombie, who's directed The Lords of Salem, which I did with Ken Forey, who's sitting here beside me. And I'm going to see Rob Zombie on Monday night at the O2 Centre, where he's playing with Marilyn Manson. So I'm quite excited, because I'm not really a heavy metal girl, but I might turn into one.
From writer-director Rob Zombie comes the next blood-soaked chapter.
At this time, authorities will not confirm if the suspects are in fact dead. Please stand by as we learn more information.
Free from hell.
No, I did the original stage show in '73.
Michael Rennie was ill the day the earth stood still, but he told us where we stand.
And that took off by word of mouth in a 60-seat theatre upstairs the Royal Court. And by the 5th week, we were meant to do 3 weeks, they kept us on for another 2, so they could take us to another theatre. And by the end of the 5th week, Mick Jagger, Bianca, and Elliot Gould were queuing for tickets.
Yes, all of their decks are completely stacked.
All quite normal, really.
Now, if you had to prove that, how would you go about doing that? I mean, in the spur of the moment.
Then we made the film 2 years later.
Michael Rennie was ill the day the earth stood still, but he told us where we stand.
I remember my best story of that from Rocky Horror is the movie. And I was really excited because at that point I thought I was going to do Eddie and Dr. Scott, the same as in the play. And then I was still excited. They said, well, we're going to have somebody else do Dr. Scott. And I said, you're making a huge mistake. And I still think they did. Even though the actor was fine, I think they made a huge mistake because the way it was in the play, Eddie and Dr. Scott really looked alike. And so you knew it was his nephew, and they, you know, and I was a very good Dr. Scott. And so the first 2 weeks when we were doing the play, all we did...
As I said, when I arrived in London, I just turned 18, and I was obsessed by 1930s and 40s musicals. So as I say, I saved up all my money and went to a hair salon and had my hair permed. Well, as you can see, I have very straight hair. So I had my hair permed. It took about 9 hours. And I left the place looking, at the time, as I say, really cute. That was the look like, and let's do the show right here. So I had this great look, and it looked fabulous. And then I washed it, and it was a living nightmare. And like all my savings for a week or 2 weeks was gone. So my then boyfriend just went, okay, let me do this.
Was it?
Martin Sharp. And he cut my hair, and I had some yellow hair, part down the middle, fringe, and then it stuck out like a pyramid. Barry Latigan, who was the main Vogue beauty photographer, went mad for it, and I got photographed in Vogue with this equipment. And they called it the thatch. So I started off this craze with this, and I wore dice around my neck, which of course I just happened to have. And then first job was working at a shop called Fall and Tuffle, which was a tiny shop off the King's Road in Marlborough Court, a little tiny. And on my first day of work, the person who got me the job's husband was the head of 20.